Is he up there? He's just climbing again. We got a kitty on the tree again.
Good day, everyone.
Hello.
So we're coming to you live with the two of us still navigating some turbulent waters. And
Amidst a disagreement. We're coming to you amidst a challenge.
yeah, and it's kind of a continuation of our last video where we talked about essentially this experience of projection and reflection. So for example, sometimes Lavina loves to share and talk a lot about her day, and some days I receive that and love that and enjoy it so much. And then other days I'll be in conversation with Lavina and I'll be thinking, gosh, you just talk so much, and it'll irritate me. And so that's kind of what we were illuminating and highlighting last week, was just this phenomenon of like, when something is bothering me, it's probably because I'm in some sort of unstable mood. So this week is a continuation of that, because the past few days we've been really connected, like laughing and enjoying each other and not feeling bothered or irritated. And yeah, life just likes to go like, bam, you're not there yet, here's some things. And the other night I just found myself in like a little bit of a funk, and I was able to use our relationship as the thermometer, because I was like, Lavina's annoying me. She's freaking annoying me. And very quickly, because I've practiced this now, I was able to be like, actually she's not. She's just doing her thing, and I am in some kind of state where it's bothering me.
And for me, I am just so sensitive to energy, and especially when it comes to emotions, I can feel them. It's like actually a tangible experience where when somebody is feeling something, and this is actually something that human design informed me a little bit about. I have an open emotional center, which means that I can actually pick up other people's emotions and take them on as my own. And it can be, that's being an empath, I guess that's what's referenced. And it can be challenging sometimes to discern what is mine, what is someone else's, and especially difficult to discern when the person that I'm closest to is in something. It's like, to not take that personally is such a challenge. It brings up these stories and these old thought patterns from different little nicks and traumas from past relationships. And if I'm not really in my center, I can just go on this spiral of thinking of all the potential possibilities of things that I did to impact Harry in his emotional state, and start to feel uncomfortable, sad, insecure, just full of doubt, and it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, and someone asked us actually a really great question after our last video, which kind of alluded to this experience of something is going on internally, and that's why I'm in this unstable mood. Oh, kitty.
Kitty. Kitty, come here. This is so good. Can you say that again?
Well, what I'm getting at is like, this is a thing too, actually. Like when I'm in a great mood and Lavina's all like laughy with the kitty, I'm like, haha, yeah. And then there are other times where I'm like, it's a kitty. Do you have to laugh at everything the kitty does?
Yeah, I feel that too.
It's another example of these things. But basically the question of like, what is there a source to this? Was there a trigger moment? Was it something like I'm just experiencing in my world, some decision that I made that I regret, some mistake that I made? Or is it something that my partner is actually doing? And then it was really a question around boundaries, like, and that's something I can refer to when I'm wondering, is this me? Is this something my partner is actually doing that bothers me? I can just be like, okay, let me frame this around boundaries. Has Lavina crossed any of my boundaries?
And speaking of boundaries, a boundary that you've stated that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Because maybe I'm crossing a boundary that you haven't expressed and I'm unaware of it, so I wouldn't know that I'm crossing a boundary. It's like if there's a boundary that's been expressed, it is known and we've communicated about it and it's being crossed, that's when the line is being crossed.
And across all of these different scenarios, still anger and irritability and frustration are not the ways that I want to respond. I want to be able to very just calmly and clearly look at all this and resolve it, and either say to Lavina, this is something I'm experiencing, okay, actually you did this thing and it really triggered me and I need you not to do it, and then we can move from there.
Right.
Ultimately, what we're doing is providing a foundation, which is we were feeling great and then suddenly we feel disconnected. So just acknowledging there's some sort of tension here. How do we want to resolve this?
Yeah.
And then how we go about that is kind of the subject matter of this video, and it'll vary from relationship to relationship, and even with us, we're still trying to figure out what works for us.
Yeah. And so this morning, we got into something 2 nights ago, and interestingly, there was this energetic lingering of whatever it was that brought us to this feeling of disconnect. And we've been spending time together. We're in this quarantine and we share a living space, so we need to confront. I mean, there's no running, there's no hiding from these emotions, these feelings. And so recognizing that there was something that sparked this feeling of disconnect, and now witnessing how we both interact with that feeling that's arising within us. And this morning, as we were still working it out and noticing like everything is like we're just kind of annoying each other, and if we're annoying each other, it's like there's something underlying. And as we were talking about it, I noticed that this actually came back to love languages, and being that words and communication is such a vital part of it's a vital portion of the love languages and how I communicate and share and receive love. What I was looking for to find resolution was us talking it out so that I could hear what was going on in your mind, so that I could come to an understanding and I could actually hear it from you, so that we could go back and forth and share what we felt, so that I would have the words to associate to the emotions to find clarity. And because I was in this trying to communicate and like sharing a lot of words, that was actually triggering for Harry, right? Maybe not triggering, but it was not what you needed.
Right. And the way that this all kind of transpired was I felt like I was not stable and centered, and Lavina picked up on that, and Lavina questioned me about it, and I said, I don't really know what's going on with me. Like,
I don't have the words for it.
This is a challenge, and I guess I'm kind of wondering if other guys can relate with this, of just kind of like the challenge of articulating the emotional experience. But I just felt like, I don't know, something's not right. I just am not feeling like I want to kiss you and hug you and laugh with you. Something's not right. But I don't know what. And so I just said, I need a little space. I just need to be alone for a little bit, which seems like a perfectly valid request. And then Lavina responded later with a perfectly valid request, which is, when you ask for space, can you just give me a little bit more? Because otherwise I'm left wondering, what did I do wrong? What's going on? So that was a really great piece of communication I just wanted to share with you all, that Lavina just later said to me, when you are requesting personal space, can you just give me a little bit more? Like, I need personal space because I
I'm
think
feeling,
something
yeah.
might have triggered me earlier. This isn't about you, or maybe this is about you, and I just really need to figure it out. Just to give Lavina a little bit of some, just to feel and
A
understand.
sense of ease, like instead of me stepping into detective mode to try and figure it out on my own, which, you know, I also take responsibility for, because part of the four agreements, which maybe we can talk about that at some point, is not to take anything personally. And that can be really challenging. I definitely take things personally, even with the awareness that it's my work not to take it personally. I'm like, and like I mentioned, I got into this spiraling thought pattern of things that have come up in past relationships. And I even saw, because I was able to step into this witness perspective, I was able to see how I was projecting these things that were so far from the truth. And it was how these stories, these repeated stories could play out, where I was looking at Harry on his phone and I was like, what is he texting another girl? Like, when, if I'm in my right state of mind and we're in a healthy state, if he was texting another girl, number one, that's fine. He's allowed to text whoever he wants. And number two, there's trust in the foundation of our relationship. And I know that he wouldn't do anything in a state of hiding. But because of me feeling this disconnect, I spiraled into past relationships, and those traumas just like stirred this anxiousness and discomfort inside of me.
Yeah. And it's just it's so palpable to feel these things. Like when we're in it, it feels confusing. And when we're out of it, it's like, how could we ever feel that way?
How could I ever get in an argument? I love you more than anything in the whole world. All I want to do is eat your face.
But when we're in it, for me, it is very confusing. And so just to bring it back to this, the love languages, how that fits into this, the other night when I decided to take some space, I just went and I read a book for a little bit, just sat alone for a little while, and then only 20 to 30 minutes later, I went back to our space and went to bed and just like held Lavina in my arms, because I was ready to just like, there's nothing that needs to be talked about, it's all good, and I'm showing this to you because I'm cuddling with you right now.
Right.
But then throughout the night and into the morning, I could just feel like my cuddling was not being received.
Or reciprocated.
Or even, reciprocated. And so this is something else we've talked about, which is like, so touch is powerful for me. I'm just like letting you know how much I love you by this touch. And I'm not fully out of whatever happened, but like if you were just to cuddle me back right now, I think it could really be over. But from Lavina's perspective, if I'm understanding correctly, she's expressed to me. Yeah.
Because
it's nice to. I was thinking it's nice to.
Okay.
Express it just to make sure I understand.
Yeah,
like,
let's see it.
It feels good to hear.
Okay.
But from Lavina's perspective, it's like, okay, great, you want to cuddle, but like, there's still something that's not fully resolved here, and I need to talk about it. And so that's, again, it's like I could be like, yo, come on, just let it go. Let it go. I'm trying to cuddle with you. Can't you just let it go? But then I'm not fully receiving my partner who's expressing like, I really need to talk about this. I can't feel comfortable cuddling with you. I need to have my love language communicated as well.
Yeah, that is it. That's it. And so when Harry did come in, when Harry did come in and cuddle me, it felt good. So it actually was received, but I can totally see how it wasn't reciprocated, and how my mind was like, Kitty, get out.
Kitty's on one right now. Kitty feels our energy.
Yeah.
So maybe he's feeling like the sparks here.
Yeah. Can you? That's so funny. He would go after that. So when Harry came in and he embraced me, I definitely received. Kitty. This is funny. Don't do that, please.
Kitty, you're starting to trigger me.
Kitty, and I'm just still loving him. So Harry came in, he cuddled me, and I received it, and I was like, oh, well, that's nice. Felt good, and I'm not ready to just reciprocate that. I'm not ready to just reciprocate that. Sorry. There's so much happening. Neighbors.
By the way, reciprocating cuddling basically means like cuddling back. Like,
oh yeah, right?
That's a weird thing to say.
It's subtle.
You didn't reciprocate my cuddling.
It's just like energetically, like I kind of laid there. He
like
mentioned that I felt like a pillow. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, go ahead, cuddle me. But there was definitely still part of me that was like, this can't just be all on your terms, that you get to decide when we have space and you get to decide when we're okay. Like, what about me? What about how I feel? And feeling that you've, just declined my desire to mend this. So now what? I'm just going to meet yours, and just feeling that imbalance, and having that kind of aggressive, I don't know if that sounds aggressive, but that energy, there was definitely aggression in my response, like, oh, you want to cuddle now? Well, I'm not ready just because you are. I want to talk about this.
So this is where we're at right now, and actually it's kind of being resolved in real time.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking the question, like, one, why do I feel resistance to talking about it? Like, it's challenging for me to articulate what happened, and sometimes what we do is we'll just go through everything and we're like, all right, what were all the moments that could have possibly triggered me? And sometimes I feel resistance to that because I don't know if all of that is actually it. And if I identify all these little moments as like, this could have triggered me, this could have perpetuated it, and so I guess what I'm arriving at is like, I'll have to communicate to Lavina, like, what do you need from me? What do you want to address?
Right. Kitty. Yeah, so to bring it full circle, even though it's still something that there is this energy, I do feel that having Kitty.
God, Kitty.
Get out of here. Why'd it get foggy? This is a funny video. Yeah, hold him. No! Just there. So, to bring this to resolution, having the awareness of love languages helps me to understand, you know what, if Harry... Gosh! Why is he attacking this? What a funny thing to do. I hope you all don't mind. It's real. It's just real. Kitty is attacking the camera.
And the neighbors are suddenly waving to us all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's... Okay. To bring this to a resolution, having the awareness of love languages is so powerful because if I can be sensitive to Harry's expression of love by cuddling me and receive that as his offering of mending our disconnect, and if I'm aware of that, then maybe I can meet him and gently say, it would be helpful for me if you could give me a few words, because I'm noticing that you're feeling ready to come back together, ready to let go of this tension, whatever it is. And it's still challenging for me because we haven't talked it out. And I'm aware of my love language, that when we communicate with words, that seeps into my mind and I feel it. So if I could just be aware, like hyper aware of my needs and his, and vice versa, and Harry can be aware of his needs and mine, that just really creates so much more space for us to come together.
Yeah.
For us to soften and agree to meeting in the middle.
Yeah. Because when I remember, like, this is a human being who has needs. This is a soul who has her unique expression of living on this planet, of course I must soften to that.
Kitty's getting ready, rambunctious. If anybody feels called to connecting about this, I am excited to dive deeper into it, and I think both of us are interested in, I don't want to speak for you, but I'm excited about helping people with their relationships and helping people with communication. Kitty! And on that note, much love.
Peace. Well, after we ended that last video, I felt again triggered, and some insight came of that, which is, I think, one reason why it's hard for me to express my emotions is because it's hard for me to admit that something doesn't feel good. Probably because most times when something doesn't feel good, I'm experiencing some insecurity, and to admit an insecurity requires a lot of humility, because I, of course, want to seem like this really strong, secure person. And so after we ended the video, I felt insecure, and I felt like, alright, I just need to express this. So I didn't appreciate the way that you kind of like wrapped up the video. I feel like you cut me off at the end. And that's a tough thing to admit, because it's like there's ego in that, like, hey, I need my voice to be heard, and it's not all about you, and it's just a tough thing to admit, but I felt it. And if I don't express it, then it might just be churning and festering. So Lavina said, all right, let's just get on the phone again and record this part too.
Yeah, and I'm so grateful that you shared that, because of course that's not my intention. And I was able to recognize that I actually entered into this rushing state because I was feeling time. So I wasn't being present. I was actually in this feeling of, oh, our video might be getting too long. Kitty is all rambunctious. He might knock it over again. This is going to be... So I was focused on these other things rather than being present and just truly hearing you. And then boom, I cut you off, and feelings came of it. And I'm so grateful that you shared it, and that we could just move through it with me taking ownership of cutting you off and apologizing, expressing my thought process so that you could understand why, and that of course I'm not trying to cut you off in any way, so that you feel, you know, I'm not taking those jabs at you, and also so that you feel heard, because I do understand that, and I wouldn't like that if it were done to me. So yeah, this video is a little bit different than our other ones, because we are truly working with things in real time. So hopefully some of the things we've shared can offer some insight to how disagreements and challenges can be navigated in personal relationships.
And now what you're seeing is the period after we both agreed, yeah, okay. And I received Lavina's apology. I'm like, well, yeah, that's a totally authentic apology. And now I'm in this state of like, you've apologized and it's all great. Now, let it go. Like, what am I holding on to? Let it go. So that's also can be part of it too. That's what I'm experiencing.
Yeah. Ah, breath.
Okay.
Ah.
That helps.
Yeah.